Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Elliot Webber and welcome to something a little bit different on my channel. I thought, well, because I ran out of ideas, I decided why don't I do a little bit of a mini series and talk about some of the forgotten drivers of BTCC. So basically this is a do you remember this driver type of thing. I have 5 episodes planned, so that will mean 5 drivers to talk about. And if this gets enough good feedback, positive feedback, I might continue this on for a second series or whatever. I don't know. This is just a little, I don't know, just something to do, basically. So I thought for the first episode, why don't we talk about a driver who raced in the BTCC a little over 20 years ago. So yeah, this is basically, do you remember Phil Bennett? Now, of course, if you were around back then, of course, Phil Bennett debuted a little bit just a few years before I was born. So this is sort of one for the newer fans out there who might not even know who Phil Bennett is. Phil Bennett is, of course, a racing driver who raced in the BTCC between 2001 and 2003. He debuted, of course, in 2001 with Team Export, otherwise known as sort of a satellite team to what was then the factory Vauxhall team or Triple Eight Racing. Phil Bennett debuted. He would be debuting alongside James Thompson, who whilst wasn't the two-time champion and the legend, he wasn't the legend that he is now. He was still one of the top faces, one of the top names in the BTCC at the time, especially, of course, this 2001 was, of course, the first year without the super touring car regulations. So, of course, there wasn't as many cars on the grid as there would later be. But yeah, Phil Bennett would partner James Thompson in the satellite team, of course, because it was one whole Vauxhall entity. He would also be partnering the eventual 2001 champion Jason Plato, and of course Ivan Muller, the legend, of course another legend in BTCC and touring cars as a whole. Now Phil Bennett, of course, coming into his rookie year, he of course, the Vauxhall Astra was the quickest car by far. Of course, MG joined later on that year, but they weren't eligible for points in 2001. And of course, the Peugeot team just weren't that good. And neither were the independent teams, which I believe one team was running Alfa Romeos and then another team was running 2 Lexuses. So yeah, all Vauxhall basically had to do was just finish every race and they'd win it. Pretty much, and that's basically what they did. I think the Vauxhall team between Plato, Muller and Thompson and Phil Bennett, I think they won every race bar one, I think, so 25 out of 26 out of 26. Obviously, statistically one of the best seasons ever for a manufacturer, but at the same time, the Vauxhall was the quickest car by far, but that doesn't mean to say, of course, they had 4 great drivers. Of course, as we know, Plato would go on to win that championship from Ivan Muller. James Thompson would finish P3, and Phil Bennett would finish in P4. He would take 2 career wins coming in 2001, so 2 wins in 2001. Technically 3, because he did have 1 win where he didn't win overall, but he won in his class, because of course back then we had a 2-class system of the BTCT and then the BTCP, which was the production class cars. So technically 3 wins, but on the record it will say 2. So yeah, and a pretty good maiden season for Phil Bennett, though at the same time finishing P4 in the fastest car. He's basically done the bare minimum. But anyway, for 2002, he would move on to the Proton team, or Team Petronas, as it was known back then. Of course, Proton, a Malaysian company backed by Petronas, of course, a Malaysian company. Don't know what Petronas are doing now. I think they're backing some Formula 1 team. I don't know. So Phil Bennett would move on to Proton in 2002. Of course, Proton were entering the BTCC that year for the first time, and unfortunately Phil would not have the success that he did in 2001, because of course the Proton again wasn't that good of a car, although once again Phil Bennett would have a legend as his teammate, David Leslie, may he rest in peace. David Leslie, of course, possibly one of the greatest ever drivers to never win the BTCC championship. So Phil Bennett hasn't had a shortage of talented drivers as teammates, but even so, yeah, unfortunately Phil Bennett would not have the success that he did in 2001. I believe his best finish in 2002 was a 6th place, or maybe a 5th, I think. I don't think he never stood on the podium again after 2001, but even so, yeah, not terrible, but not amazing either. And that would again be the same for 2003. He would once again remain at Proton with David Leslie, and once again would not have the best of results. Once again, I believe his best finish was, I believe, a P5 or a P6. I do think he got a 4th place. I'll put up his results at some point in the video. So yeah, overall his BTCC career wasn't phenomenal by any means. I don't think he was ever going to be a championship winner, Phil Bennett, but even so, he wasn't a hugely terrible driver, definitely not the worst driver in BTCC. I'm sure there are a few others which could be argued, but we're not going to get into that. So overall, Phil Bennett didn't have the greatest touring car career, but even so, he has got some stuff to be proud of. Of course, 5 career podiums, and of course, 2, technically 3 race wins. So yeah, a race winner. So yeah, that was basically his BTCC career. Now let's talk about what Phil Bennett did after he left BTCC. Now, I can't find much about what Phil Bennett did after he left BTCC, but from what I've managed to research, Phil Bennett competed at the 24 Hours of Le Mans twice in 2005 and 2009. Both times he finished P4 in class, so he finished Le Mans 2 P4s, that's not too bad. And then he would also compete at the 24 Hours of Silverstone twice in 2007 and 2010, and I do believe both races he DNF'd in those years at Silverstone. In fact, the 2007 24 Hours of Silverstone was in fact the one that Top Gear competed in that diesel-powered BMW, if any of you remember that episode. It's a classic. So yeah, so post BTCC, it seems like Phil Bennett didn't do much, or in fact he either did do a lot but didn't do anything of note. So even so, but yeah, a Le Mans racer, didn't get a podium or a win, unfortunately, for Phil, and neither was his successors at Silverstone. So yeah, I'm not too sure what Phil Bennett is doing as time of recording. I don't know if he's retired. I don't know if he's doing any other types of part-time racing. Well, of course, Phil Bennett, I believe, is well over 50 years old now. So yeah, maybe his best years are behind it. But even so, I do hope you've enjoyed this little video of Do You Remember Insert Former Touring Car Driver here. As I mentioned, I plan to do 4 more videos, of course 5 in total. So yeah, I don't know when the next one's going to come out. I actually plan to have these come out daily through Monday to Friday. It's currently Friday as I'm recording this, so maybe I might do these daily if you want to see daily videos. I don't know, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But thank you guys for watching this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you remember Phil Bennett, or was this a new type of driver that you've learned about? I don't know, but yeah, let me know in the comments below. Of course, if you are new around here, be sure to like this video, share with your mates as well, because it of course does help my channel grow, and of course press that red subscribe button, because we are firmly on the road to 300 subscribers. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see all of you in the next one. Goodbye.